We are live, coming here with a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I'm your host, Trevor. Tonight, we are joined by Andy. Andy, how are you doing tonight?
What up, what up?
We're also joined by Mitos. Mitos, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Trev. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure as always. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's Tuesday. The boys are back, and we're doing a pod. Who doesn't love a good old pod on a Tuesday night, 8:30? And we also are joined by Alex. Alex, how are you doing tonight?
Yo, yo, yo.
And we are here. It's Mount Rushmore season. Mount Rushmore of the 20s. Now, this is going to be seasons 20 through 29. And we got Adam Mitos in the house tonight. I mean, how'd you get out of the Redemption House?
I was in the Redemption House for a while. I don't think I've been back since some people are saying episode of the year, the Anissa solo pod. But I just want to address some of the rumors in the chat. Meadows will be here to stay for the entirety of this. I'm sure we'll stay on the rails the whole time, but I'm locked in.
God, sounds like you're locked in. How we feeling, boys? How we feeling? 20 through 29. I feel like this is my favorite era. I don't know about you all. What are your thoughts?
This is, I think, for most of the group, kind of our bread and butter. I know we all have seen seasons before this era, but this was, I think, the best time to just be a challenge fan in the moment. These are some of the most rewatchable seasons, some of the best seasons, best moments. And, I think last time for the 30s, we kind of, struggled to think of fun, entertaining picks. But I think this one it's going to be a grind because there's a lot of fun things to talk about here. The golden era.
Andy, what are your thoughts on the 20s through 29s?
I mean, I wouldn't quite say it's a golden era, but it's an era. I think it is a lot of heavy hitters. A lot of heavy hitters. A lot of good seasons. I'm excited to talk about it tonight. Again, I think we talked about it last week. The 10 through 19 is my personal favorite. That's also when I started the challenge, which I think has a lot of reason why it's my favorite. But, man, this was quite a 10 seasons for any given show.
Yeah. Adam, anything, or should we just dive right in?
I think you could say it's the golden era. I mean, that's as simple as that. A lot of heavy hitters is my main takeaway. A lot of recognizable seasons. You got a couple of sequels, even trilogies in the mix throughout the 10. So, golden era.
Here we are. Well, chat, you guys know what to do. Send us the order tonight, and we'll go from there. So
two quick things. We got to address the elephant in the room while we wait for the order. Not Anissa. The season 40 cast list info got dropped yesterday. We're going to touch on that at the very end. We're all very excited for it. We'll just touch on that at the very end. And then 2 is just the seasons real quick that we have to pick from here, 20 to 29. Cutthroat, Rivals, X's, Battle of the Seasons, Rivals 2, Free Agents, X's 2, Bloodlines, Rivals 3, and Invasion.
There we go. All righty. Well, tonight's order could be Adam, Alex, Trevor, Andy. But we switched it around for Mount Rushmore season. Adam, you were chosen number 1. You get the first pick of where you want to pick.
I forgot. I didn't plan for this twist.
Oh.
I'll go first.
Wow. He wants to take number 1. So let's switch this up. Why is this not working? All right. Alex, where do you want?
I'll go with the 4th pick.
Ooh, interessante. All right. I think I'm going to go with number 3.
I will for my pick.
You want to go first?
It would have been my first pick. I'm going to go second.
Oh, there we go. Love that. All right. There's your order for tonight. Adam, Andy, Trev, Alex. Adam.
And same rules as last time. It's 1 from each category, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And when we say one moment, is that one moment from the challenge?
Can be whatever you want.
But does it have to be a moment from the challenge, or can it be just a moment from anything?
But
yeah, as long as it's not like the World Series or a Super Bowl winner, yeah.
Okay. See, the reason I ask is because I actually did my research for just moments in general. But I think I'm gonna pick a moment that actually qualifies for both general moments and the challenge. And of course, I'm picking Take the Money and Run. Rivals 3, finale. You got Bananas, the first time they've done the steal the money twist, and he does the classic okey doke with Sarah. Sarah's on the ground crying. BME production puts up the graphic, $0 earned. Everybody on the mountainside just stunned. I think we can all agree that was an electric night. Whether you were watching from the US or Ireland or any like random country that any of us might have been in, that was an elite challenge moment from the 20s.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, haven't you gone on the record saying that was the most important moment of your life? Wasn't that you?
I've been on record as saying that's probably the best moment just in the history of mankind.
God.
Watch it.
I mean, just a wild moment. I remember watching it. You guys have heard the story of me FaceTiming Alex watching it live in Ireland. Just an unbelievable moment, literally. Changed the challenge forever. Alex, what do you have to say?
I mean, this moment is one of the best moments of mankind. It's an incredible, absolutely worthy of the 1-1 pick. I think there's a ton of good moments from this era, but there's probably only a couple moments from the whole show's history where like you could justify an entire episode's worth of content just breaking down this one moment. It's fucking awesome. The second Adam took the first pick, I knew that it wasn't going to last me, so that's why I kind of picked the fourth pick. But just an incredible pick to start us off here. I love it.
There you go. Andy, anything?
I mean, I would have been upset if this was not 1-1.
It had to be.
Great pick in going first.
Adam had to do it.
God.
Exactly.
All right, so where are we now in this draft? Number 2, that's Andy?
Yeah, so I'm kind of torn. I'm torn between 2. But I have to do it. I have to take the person who was the face of this entire decade of a season, if you will. I'm taking the Banana Man. I mean, he has 4 rings during this time period.
Yeah.
I mean, that's up there with Brady, Jordan, Mahomes. This is the Bananas dynasty in my mind. And it's where he became the face of the challenge. And not only just a face that's going to be there for a little bit, but after these 10 seasons, you cannot think about the challenge without also thinking about Johnny Bananas.
I mean, the GOAT. I mean, this era, unbelievable, like you said. What was it? 5 finals, including 4 wins. Like, that's insane.
This was the era where he really kind of just took over, not just from winning titles, but also like, you know, wanting to be the face of the show, wanting to turn what he was doing into what he's doing now, where he has, you know, he's appearing on other reality TV shows outside of the challenge. This was the era where he makes his own T-shirts. He's bringing on bobbleheads. The bobblehead is giving a confessional. Like, that actually happened. Bananas was just on a fucking tear this challenge, or this era of the challenge.
And keep in mind, this is the era, and it was like midway through this era, no less, that he said he might be done. He didn't know how many he had left in him, and we're about to enter the 5th era when he's still on the cast list. So, I mean, truly a one of one. I think he cemented GOAT status during this era, and so fantastic pick.
Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you. I know we are. We're talking about coming back and doing a Bananas Legends tour at some point.
All right, I'm up. So
go ahead.
Who's up?
God, I think seasons. I think you could argue all 4 seasons. So I'm not going seasons yet. And I think there's a moment that I have to take so Alex doesn't get it on the wraparound. And I'm going the Bananas backpack. I have to take that.
Ooh.
I mean, when you talk about, first off, can we talk about how the first 3 moments are all bananas? I mean, that just shows Andy's pick. Just great pick. But this moment, I don't know if that was the light switch to Bananas' career. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that was the little thing that led him to win 4 more rings that era. But by God, that moment, CT coming in, dragging him. I mean, the number of clips that I have seen of that, I mean, that is one of the first things you always see in challenge moments of all time. Just an unbelievable moment. Just CT dominating Bananas. And it's 2 of the heavyweights. And that's what you want to see. So that is why I'm going CT backpack.
So, question for you: is it called the CT backpack or the Bananas backpack?
I mean, I'll give it to CT on this. I know if you want me to say Bananas backpack.
No, I mean, I think it's called the Bananas backpack, but I would argue that it is more of a CT moment. I mean,
yeah, so that's why for the fans, I just wanted to put CT backpacking Bananas.
CT was at that point was just locked in a cage eating raw meat and babies, and got fed to Bananas that was trimming down for the final.
Yes.
The only negative to this moment is that in putting on the backpack, I noticed he 2-strapped it. And, I'm a 1-strapper. I'd no strap it if I could. But aside from that, this is truly a jaw-dropping moment. Like, I remember watching this and just jaw hit the floor, just like, you got to be yanking my dick off. Like, this is just as elite as Take the Money and Run. I mean, it's great value in the 3rd overall pick.
Thank you. Andy, anything?
No, I mean, it is one of the all-time moments in challenge history. All time. Both of the 2 moments that have been taken are not just relevant to the 20s, they're relevant to the entire challenge, which is a testament to both the 2 picks themselves and also this era in general.
Yeah. So, Alex, floor is yours. Back-to-back picks.
All right. So for the last pick of the first round, I'm going to – I mean, this has been a good draft so far. I'll be honest. A lot of my picks have been taken. So I'm just going to go with my challenger, best challenger, and I am going to double up. Last time for the Mount Rushmore of the 30s, I went CT. I'm going to go CT again. Mount Rushmore of the 20s. He did 6 seasons in this era, and he got 2 rings. He was able to kind of, you're able to kind of grab his invasion ring, being season 29 there at the end. And this was like, and he made another final, and you also have, he wasn't on the season, but you have the backpack moment all on his resume. And it was just a really fun era of CT. I would argue that this era was probably more entertaining than 30 to 39. 30 to 39, you have a lot of CT just kind of hanging out in the background, being fat, eating cold cuts and mumbling. Like, this was the era where he wasn't, punching people in the face, but he was still like screaming at Wes all night. He was still getting in Banana's face. He was still hooking up with Laurel and Mandy and all of that. Like, still a very entertaining character while also getting his first ring in Rivals 2 and then closing the era out with a second ring. So I'm going to go CT for my challenger pick here.
Okay. I mean, you kind of nailed everything. We've already talked about CT a billion times. I mean, arguably top 2 guy of all time. Go. Adam, anything you want to add on CT?
I mean, legend, mumbles, dad bod, doesn't matter. I think that's a recent STP cast photo reaction, and it's held true all this time. I mean, just looking at the first row here, it's just kind of representative of who we might presume are the 2 goats of the challenge. But yeah, I mean, great pick.
Thank you.
Andy, anything?
I mean, this kind of completed the Venn diagram of the 20s, which was Bananas and CT and the kind of overlap between the two. And not only am I not mad at any of these first 4 picks, I'm very happy with them all. And I think we're off to possibly Mount Rushmore of Mount Rushmores.
God, but have we ever done a Mount Rushmore of Mount Rushmores?
We'll get into that.
The Rushmore.
Oh, come on. All righty, Alex, the wraparound. What do you got?
And you know, we're still circling the Legends Tour CT. But now that we're into the second round, I'll kind of try to steer us in a non-CT, non-Bananas direction here, although I guess it does involve Bananas. I'm going to go with moments, and I'm going to go with Jordan flipping all the cards. I'm going to go with Jordan flipping all the cards and free agents. What was it we did recently? The free agents deep dive that we did a couple weeks ago. And this was probably the biggest talking point of that episode. Like, just in an all-time season, it was like, you know, the classic midway point where you didn't want to go home anymore. Jordan was in his second season. Him and Bananas were just talking shit all season. This was probably Apex Mountain Bananas. We don't need to go down that route, but probably Apex Mountain Bananas. And just having this new loud kid who, you know, hadn't done a ton in the challenge so far. And, you know, he sends himself down there, flips all the cards. We haven't seen quite anything like that since then. We see a lot of talking like it. But for Jordan to do it, and it's almost even better that he lost because it just kind of sort of adds to the allure of, like, you know, the origin story of Jordan. So just an all-time moment for me. I'm going to go with Jordan flipping the cards and free agents.
Another great moment, obviously. Jordan being new into the game, second season. Adam writing in the chat, oh, it's going down from CT. I mean, this moment, another heavyweights going at it. Obviously, Jordan wasn't to that level yet, but what he is now. And you got to earn your stripes. I mean, what a line by Jordan. I don't know. 2 legends going at it. Andy, what was your thoughts on that?
It was awesome. It was just a big swinging dick moment. You don't have that these days. Like, you don't have somebody that's willing to put their balls on the line and go in and do something like that. And that's why we are in the midst of, like, this era was one where the egos were through the roof, and it made for great television where it was related to the game. Jordan wanted to compete. He wanted to have Bananas earn his stripes, even though he had multiple rings going into that. And it was awesome. That's the kind of, like, overinflated ego about competing in the challenge that is lost on today's times.
And didn't they carry that rivalry forward into future seasons? Like, they didn't become best friends or anything, did they?
God, of course they're best friends. It's always funny how Bananas rounds up. Like, he just knows. He has an eye for talent, and you know, he's a beast.
It's a great move by great ego move, storyline move by Jordan, though. Like, you got to hand it to him. Like, that was a good one.
All right, so is Adam back up?
Is it me?
Guys,
I thought it was me.
Am I up? All right.
I think I'll go after Zoom.
God. All right. I think Can go a lot of different directions. I think I'm going to go worst challenger.
Ooh.
And I mean, there's one person I could choose. Her stat line isn't great, but I'm hoping it could slide to somebody who might take it. So I'm not going that route. But I'm going. This person was only on one season. But I think it was the biggest disrespect to the challenge ever. And when you sign up for the challenge, you got to be down to do whatever. And if you can't drink a drink, in a final, you should be banned from the show. You should have I almost think when you go, when something's like censored or whatever, their face should just be censored the entire season. Like they shouldn't get any credit for that.
You should get the D treatment where they just don't show her on screen.
Yeah. And that is why I'm going with Jay. I mean, that the disrespect that he had for this show to come on and he can't even drink a little smoothie in the final with Jenna after you were a cakewalk the entire season. Yeah, I'm going Jay. What a pussy ass. And here's one thing I will say. He definitely has turned it around. All-Stars 4, we'll get into it, maybe a reunion. But for this era, that was the worst performance I've ever seen.
Yeah, to that point, Trev, I think it's a good pick because we're talking about the 20s. We're talking about 20 to 29. I think some of our listeners might see it on the poll and recall, Jay's recent likability bump in All-Stars 4. But I think it's still a good pick because he did have one of the all-time, chokeouts and quitting. And, it's a scene that they flash back to all the time. Is there
a show that's all about no quitters? I mean, TJ, especially during this era, TJ's all no quitters. And,
yes, shout out Clem and Captain Cons. Is there
champion? That doesn't.
Is there any sort of rule on? Do we need to put his last name or something? Because there's also another.
I don't think that other Jay was during that season.
During the 20s.
Oh, you're right. Good point.
So what's his last name even? It's like ST Stargin or something. I don't even know.
No, that's the new guy.
Oh, is it the new guy? That's classic.
And you can't even put.
I will just leave it as Jay, or maybe should I just leave it as that? Maybe I should just leave it as.
No, put Jay. Put Jay.
I don't know. Does he deserve that? Like maybe I couldn't finish typing his name. I don't know. All right.
I don't hate that.
Or should I just go is this even more disrespectful?
It just looks like a typo.
God. All right, I'll put his name. All right, Andy.
Am I up?
Andy, who you got?
Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of Jay, ... I'm going to take the first season off the board. One that you just referenced. I'm going to take X's 2. It's a great season. If you were to go back, and it's kind of tough because a lot of people, and I'm sure you Habbies feel the same, when people have never watched the challenge and they say, what should I watch right out of the gate? In my opinion, X's 2 is arguably the best season ever. But there's a lot of background that goes into it. So it's kind of tough to advise someone to jump into it from that perspective. But if you want to hop into a season and just have nonstop action start to finish, some all-time moments, and a Sarah Jordan championship, both of which I think are all-time competitors in their own right, X's 2 would be the way that I would point them.
Good pick.
A lot of good seasons in this time frame, but I think X's 2 stands above them all.
That's a good one. I mean, it had great moments. It had the Wes, Leroy, deliberation or power couple dinner. It had Bananas coming back from the dead. Why the red face? It had the Naya fight with Jordan. I mean, a lot of elite moments. So
you're lying, Sarah.
God.
And the first and probably the best executed Redemption House on X's 2, not just with Bananas coming back the way he did, but also the fact that they kind of put it, I think it was online only. So like it wasn't part of the show. It didn't take up 10 minutes where we go and see fucking Chuck and Brittany and Faith hooking up like in the back closet of the other house. Like it was just separate. It wasn't part of the show. Exes 2 is awesome. It's probably my favorite season. It's a lot of fun to rewatch. Amazing cast, amazing moments.
Do you remember when they did the Redemption House like 4 or 5 seasons ago, where one of the biggest twists was they'd have security footage into the main house? And then it just never led to a single storyline. They hyped it up so much, like, oh, you're going to be able to watch the politics, and it didn't lead to anything.
I think it was just that one single scene.
It was just them announcing that it existed, and then it was never seen again.
God.
And X's 2, potentially Apex Mountain for the whole show.
Ooh, we'll get into that. I might argue it hasn't happened yet. Stay tuned for the preview show.
God.
Am I up?
Yeah, you're up.
All right. I got 2 here. Battle of the X's 2 is good, although it is not my favorite season of this faux decade. So I'm going to take that off the board. I know Alex has this one high on his list. I'm going to take Rivals 1. Of course, maybe one of the most legendary casts. I mean, you've got roided up Wes. You've got murderous CT on the loose. You've got Evan Kinney in the fold. Leroy's rookie season, I believe. Leroy's partner got in a fight episode 1. You have Wes and CT getting in an hour-long fight through the middle of the night. Tons of crazy girls. I think there was a Nani Camilla fight in there somewhere that's like a minus 500 going into a season though. So to be fair, that was kind of a gimme. And it ended up with my guy Wes not coming home with the crown. But he was kind of stuck with a pretty shitty partner, so I don't really hold that against him. But all that to say, Rivals 1 is an elite season. And if I'm suggesting to anybody a first season they should watch, like if I run into some girl I've never met at a wedding or something, like in the summer of 23, like I'm going to tell her to start with Rivals 1.
Wow. Great season. I think of the T-Bone moment. I think of, what about CT versus Wes? The yelling match? Oh, you said that? That yelling match?
That led to Rivals 2, which, I mean, we'll get into that. I have a feeling you might take that, Trev.
We'll get into that. I might have something else up my sleeve, but
Rivals is a great season. And to both of these Habby's points, I also, my answer to anybody who says what season should I start with, I always go with Rivals because I think it's really fun to start from that point because you have like 7 really good seasons right after it, and you also get like some background without necessarily getting spoilers. So you see like, Bananas and Tyler, and you're like, why do they have beef? Let me go back and watch The Duel. Or why do Wes and Kinney have beef? Let me go back and watch Fresh Meat 2. I think it's a really good starting point, a really fun season. And I believe the concept of Rivals was created by none other than, actually a listener of Bill Simmons on the Bill Simmons report back in 07, whatever, I think it was. I think Simmons and Jacoby discussed this idea.
wow.
You and Andy bulge at Simmons.
Watch it. This is a great season. I always like the start of a trilogy. Like if you have a season that gets repeated multiple times, you had a great concept. And I always like going back to the actual conception of that being Rivals 1. And you're spot on. This cast list was stacked of some of the biggest heavy hitters of all time, all in their primes. So it was what a watch. And I'm sure we'll touch on this a little bit later.
Uh-oh. All right. On the turnaround then, Trev, I think I'm going to go with my worst challenger.
Okay.
Also sticking with the theme of Jay, I'm going to take Andy's favorite, Jessica.
God,
Jessica from Portland. Kind of an easy layup pick here. I wrote down her stats. One thing I like about picking her in this category is that her entire career spanned this decade, or this challenge decade, if you will. In the 4 seasons she was on, she left in episode 2, 9, 1, and 5. So that's like an average of like 3.5. She had the one outlier making it decently far in free agents, but otherwise just a poor challenger on all fronts. And again, Andy, I'm sorry to offend you. Like, I personally hate her. So yeah, Jessica's getting the worst challenger from me, especially coming from such an elite season like Portland with Lil Johnny, Jordan, Naya, all those clowns, Avery. Like, I had higher hopes for her, and it just didn't live up to it.
What was the furthest she's ever gotten? Do you know?
Episode 9 on free agents. But remember, that was with like, there was so much luck involved with that, with the flipping the cards. So I think it was more luck than like politics or good gameplay.
Yeah. Andy, anything on Jessica? I thought you were a fan of her, right?
Yeah, he's gonna defend her. Maybe we mute him.
Yeah, maybe we'll just move on then, right?
If you didn't pick Jessica there, I would have had my perfect draft. Perfect draft. I'm so mad you took her. She's up there for one of the worst challengers of all time. I cannot stand her.
I mean, I think she did get drafted, and because we've done a worst challengers, Mount
Yes.
Rushmore. I was on that one. She was an early pick.
God, well, it's not like you can think of anybody else.
We'll get into that.
And I believe her apex mountain probably of, I would assume, life is probably her marrying a pitcher for the Astros.
No.
People forget that. Although I did just look him up. His name is JP France, which literally translates to a contender for worst competitor of all time. Shout out War of the Worlds. But I guess this guy this year is 0-3 with a 7.5 ERA.
Do you think instead of wedding bells at their wedding, they just banged trash can lids? The higher level guys will understand.
Oh, come on.
God. All right.
All right, Adam, who you got?
Is it me again?
Yeah, your last pick, Adam. Andy, who you got?
Me?
Yes, it's you.
Wait, it's Andy, right?
God.
All right. Well, in keeping with the same J vibes that we're going with, I'm going to go with someone who also just really pissed me off and just kind of made me feel gross whenever I watched her. I'm going to go Jimmy.
Great pick.
She wasn't good. She wasn't entertaining. She was a struggle to watch.
Is that spelled right?
Yes.
That's right. Yeah,
essentially. She just kind of disgusting. Like, I don't really know how else to describe it. But she sucked. I didn't like her at all, ever. Her little ketchup tantrum, I don't know if that was during this decade of a seasons, if you will, but she was just the worst. So I will happily take Jimmy as a backup to Jessica any day of the week.
Good pick.
Great pick.
Wasn't Alex a fan of Jimmy?
I think Alex liked her a lot.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Don't even joke about that. She was fucking terrible.
Whoa.
So resume-wise, she went home first on free agents. She went home early on X's 2. The only bright spot she has is making the final on Rivals 2, which I feel like was, probably 83% due to the fact that her partner was Camilla, and Camilla was very connected to the cast at that time. She never did anything impressive from a challenge standpoint.
Camilla couldn't have loved that she hooked up with Leroy, though. That probably caused a rift in that partnership.
God. All right, I'm up.
I think it's Trev.
All right. I guess I'll go seasons. And
Battle of Seasons is your pick?
I'm going to go
Battle of Seasons?
Battle of Seasons. Mark it down.
Wow, Battle of Seasons.
Talk it up.
Interesting.
Are we done? Are we ready? I'm going to go Rivals 3.
Ooh.
-1.
Ooh.
I'm going Rivals 2.
Not so fast.
Wow.
So
Okie doke us.
I think this season to me, it always has a special spot. It was the first one I watched live. And it is just such a damn good season. I mean, first off, the fact they were in Thailand, I mean, they were dying in there. The heat was ridiculous. CT was crazy. I'm trying to think of what else happened. I mean, the whole banana CT rivalry we got. I mean, yes, I'm seeing in our in circle chat story time. There was a moment where I watched this entire season. I stayed home from school. This was what, in high school, Alex? And I acted like I was sick. And I watched the entire season in one day. I was all in. I was a sucker for it. This season to me is just so fucking awesome. Rivals is by far the best category or whatever format of a game. There's nothing better than two people that hate each other partnered up.
False.
You like X's better? I love Rivals, man.
Watch it.
God.
The soon-to-be completed trilogy of Fresh Meat will not be tested.
What do you
once
mean?
it's completed?
You're not even a fan of Fresh Meat.
Wait. So in this 10-season span that we're talking, we had Rivals 1, 2, and 3, and we are now 14 years since Fresh Meat 2. 14 years. That's 20 seasons.
I mean,
will it ever happen?
We'll get into that.
Great pick, though, Trev. This was an all-time season. I do agree in terms of just raw entertainment, especially for the challenge aficionados. Rivals is a phenomenal setup for a season, and this one certainly delivered. So entertaining from start to finish. Great pick.
And I think the cast was great. Also, the introduction of Jordan.
It's a great pick. Really fun season. Good cast. I think it's definitely worthy of doing a deep dive. I don't think we've done one on this season. Trev, I'm curious, since you picked it, when you think of Rivals 2, without giving spoilers for other picks, what's the first thing that comes to mind, whether it's a challenger, a moment, or anything like that, a hookup? When you think of Rivals 2 and your favorite things about it, give me one or two things.
You know the funny thing is, the first thing that I think of is Cook pissing on the rope. For whatever reason, it was one of the first moments. The whole CT Diem saga of them going back and forth. Also, love the voting process. Them literally sitting in the couch facing each other, and then the girls voting for the guys voting for the girls. I'd say those big three things. Obviously, there's others, but to me, I love just seeing a straight up game. You know exactly what you're thrown into. There's no hidden giant twist by any means, and it's you and your partner who can pull off the dub.
Great answer. I love that.
Zach and Trey getting DQ. Didn't Trey tell a 45-minute story about that on this podcast?
I think he prefaced it by saying, "I'll try to keep this short."
Yeah, that was a solo pod by you, right, Alex?
Yeah, you put Trey to sleep.
So I also want to make a little honorable mention with the season.
Whoa.
It's with the season. It's with the season. But a little
honorable mention moments.
Yeah, I'll wait then. Fine. That's fine. I'll wait. Whatever.
No, do honorable mention because I have the last moment. It's not in this season.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, fun fact, honorable mention was the reunion show, last live reunion show, and we never got another live reunion show. We had Frank getting slapped by Knight.
R.I.P.
So
what a great moment.
Yeah. So Rivals 2.
Wes looked horrible on that reunion. He looked horrible in that season, but he won.
Skinny Wes.
God, enough.
All right, who's up?
You.
It's me?
God.
All right. To round us out here, I'm going to first go. I'll go seasons, I guess, since it doesn't matter in this
seasons. It is. Did that already get picked?
I thought Trev already had that.
I've already got that.
Yeah, Trev already had Battle of the Season, so I'm going to go with my backup pick, and I'm going to go one season after Rivals 2 with Free Agents. I'll just, I don't need to go into a whole lot of detail. I'll just do a shameless plug for our recent Free Agents deep dive. But just an awesome season. Season 25, bananas in Laurel, Apex Mountain, literally at the top of the mountain. You have Johnny Riley, Zach, the Jordan rivalry. You have Leroy and CT. Those clowns are all there. Kara breaks her hand. You have strip basketball on episode 1. Just like a lot of fun throughout. My favorite 2 seasons are X's 2 and Rivals. So my third favorite season, probably of all time, is Free Agents. Just a really fun season to watch. Really fun format with the cards and the changing and the new format. Everybody's on their own, but you might be in teams, partners, all that. I just love Free Agents, so I'm going to go with my season now for Free Agents.
Great pick. Another one of my favorite seasons. Swift Key. I mean, there's so many great moments from that season. We Alex and I obviously just talked about it. What about you guys?
Yeah, because didn't Andy bail on that pod? I'd love to get his thoughts since he bailed. No excuse.
Watch it. I've seen Free Agents once.
Oh, come on.
But I think it was good.
Didn't Free Agents have Oppenheimer?
Yes.
God, and you didn't like Oppenheimer, Trev.
Oh, God.
Oh, I mean.
You couldn't even finish it in one sitting.
I heard some people haven't even finished it and called themselves movie fans, movie gurus.
No, I finished like an hour into it.
You did, Dobbins?
All right.
Yeah, and I finished the Florence Pugh scene. It was like an hour in. I finished.
Oh, come on.
All right, Alex.
All right. So what is it to me for moment?
Yeah, you're up, Andy. Moment.
Watch it. All right. I'm up here with my last pick, first pick of the last round. And I obviously have my worst challenger pick is what I have left. And I hate to kind of make this graphic, I hate for people to think that it might be the same as Mount Rushmore of the 30s, because I'm going to double up again. And I can't believe this person fell to me. She does a lot of falling. I'm going to go with my worst challenger of this era as Anissa. And I don't think she's like as funny to laugh at, like as easily predictable to be last place in the power rankings in this era as she was in the 30s. But she did do 5 seasons. She did Rivals, X's, Rivals 2, Free Agents, and Bloodlines. No finals, all losses. Her best season was probably Rivals 2 and Bloodlines. She made like the last elimination, but like you knew every single season there was no chance that she was going to win. She went home first in Rivals. She went into Oppenheimer against Laurel and Free Agents. Like just a terrible challenger. 0 for 5. She had a long career before this. She's had a long career since. She just fucking sucks. And she didn't reach, I think the opposite of Apex Mountain is the Nadir Valley. She didn't reach that until her next era of the show when she was hanging from a pole on the pig roast. But just a terrible 5-season stretch here for Anissa.
I want Andy to defend her right here. I know he's a big Anissa guy. So thoughts, Andy?
I mean, no, Anissa's been terrible since she stepped foot on the show.
Shameless plug for the Anissa Legends tour, though. That was a thing that happened.
I think that sound that we just heard was actually Anissa opening yet another Coca-Cola.
I thought it was smoke. Do you smell that?
I do.
No, I think it was her second soda. She got the Max Delaney special. Pardon my cheesesteak.
God, it's probably on the fucking floor like a dog.
All right, do we like Anissa?
No, Anissa's terrible. She's so bad, and she's just the worst. And you're right. Like this season, she was kind of on the downturn, and in the 30 through 39 season, she was literally just laying on the floor, kind of like this. like a cat, like just like a big fat cat, like Garfield saying like, I'm not going to move, but somebody please come over here and give me lasagna. I mean, that was pretty much season 30 through 39 in Nisa, but this was her getting there for sure.
Well, and it's kind of funny too, like, you know, the career progression of Anissa. When she was on her first season of the stretch Rivals, which she went home right away, but like she was probably in the best shape that she's maybe been in a challenge. She hadn't gotten totally out of shape yet. And she was still kind of riding on, you can watch like the one episode that she was in. She was still kind of riding on like, I'm an elimination queen. I go in and I beat bitches, blah, blah, blah. And like she went in episode 1 and lost. And so like it was kind of the start of just like each season, you know, she gets a little more out of shape. She gets a little easier to push down the power rankings. She gets a little more certain that she's never going to win. And then, you know, you fast forward to season 40, which she's still fucking doing. And she's just fucking a cross out on the power rankings at this point.
I mean, there's no way she can be worst challenger in 4 eras, right?
We'll get into that.
Making history.
Don't sleep.
All right, I'm up. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do I got? Best?
Go ahead, Trev.
So, best challenge competitor, I think Bananas and CT are way above anybody else. I don't even think anybody comes close after. But I am going with somebody. They were only on 3 seasons. And Alex thinks I'm picking Jordan, but I'm not picking Jordan. 3 seasons, final winner. And I'm going Emily.
Wow.
You bulge, Emily.
You're a simp. Very
simp.
progressive of STP.
Call me what you want. Emily's good. I mean, she's 5 for 5 in eliminations in 3 seasons. Final champ. What more can you do? I mean, she's a beast. She's a tank. I'm so stoked to see her in season 40. And I'm all in. I'm just all in. Sorry. Sue me. You got me.
She was on my short list. I think it's a valid pick. I agree with you. Bananas and CT kind of set the trend for the multi champs of this era, but Emily's a really solid pick beyond that. Because I think you can't really count it as part of this era, but she also got a dub on one of those champs versus, which actually that might have been during the 30s anyways. But anyways, that
shit doesn't count.
Well, it's kind of like in the NBA Hall of Fame where they'll say like, oh, he's a 4-time gold medalist for like Carmelo, and it's like, well, yeah, because he was playing against like fucking Slovenia.
No. That's like hanging the banner for the in-season tournament.
Come on. You would have been all about that if the Pacers would have won.
100%.
What about AFC South's finalist?
Oh, God. Well, Ursay kind of lives on a different planet, so.
I don't know. I don't know who's more delusional, Ballard or Scott Yeager.
I thought it was Sean Yeager.
They're both idiots. And his buddy fell for the Alton trick. Emily is a good pick, and I think, like you said, there's kind of CT and Bananas and then a gap. And then I think you have kind of 2 routes to go on. You could go one route, which is like people who did a lot of seasons, maybe won a ring or 2 and were very prevalent in the show. Or you could go someone like Emily, who across 10 seasons only did 3 of them. But like when you think back to this era, Emily is definitely one of the first names that comes to mind. And it's because she had that much of an impact in the limited time that she had on the show.
Mm-hmm. So
she's also pretty bad. People sleep on that.
And Alex made her smirk big time over Twitter. You got to pull that up at some point.
What her thighs say to come back or something like that? Wasn't it?
She loved it.
All right, Andy, why don't you carry us home?
Okay.
I will carry us home. I will carry us wherever I need to carry us.
Oh, God.
Even if it means carrying us up a mountain.
Oh, God.
My moment is Kenny carrying that little bitch boy Wes up a fucking mountain. Wes, trying to be, I'm not just the roided up alpha. I'm also really smart. I'm going to crush up these rocks and I'm going to put them in my socks. Next thing you know, he can't walk. And then what happens? Mr. Beautiful, the guy who had allegedly lost his mojo the whole season, has to become the face of the team, cement himself as, I want to say, almost like the father, like the dad of Wes, and just say, come on, little boy, we're going on this hike. I'll carry you with me. Just hop on. When I think of backpacks in the 20s, I think of this before I think of the CT/Bananas backpack. This was in the finale, and Kenny just saying, whatever it takes, I'm going to make it work. It didn't work, but he did still carry Wes up a mountain.
Legend. One of the greatest moments as well. I feel like I wrote down 4 moments, and all 4 of these moments were the ones chosen tonight. And I think the seasons as well. So I don't know if you guys had similar things, but something to take note of. Adam, anything to say? I know you're a big West guy. Anything to say?
I mean, it's a funny moment. It's overblown by massive proportions, but it is hilarious. And Wes always acting like he's the smartest guy in the room, which I think we agree he is, but that's not saying much. And he was just a complete idiot with that whole rock technique. I also heard that he was pounding caffeine shots, and so he just got completely dehydrated, which was another reason for the cramps. And it's what are you doing?
Classic. All right. Last pick of the night, Adam. This is your worst challenger. You took Jessica as your best.
I took Jessica as my worst. Andy, if it was Andy's column, he would have said best. For my best, you guys know what you sign up for when Nitos joins a pod. Give me Wes Bergman. He got a ring during this era. He made 2 other finals in this era, and that's not counting the near perfect game he played on Nexus 2. He also, might I submit, deserves another ring for his Rivals 3 reunion performance more than any other actual daily or elimination challenge, because that might be the funniest 60 minutes of television I've ever watched in my life, with just drunk Wes kind of egging on Sarah, shockingly having Bananas back and the whole money situation. So it's more about the longevity, very, very LeBron case. Only the one ring during the 20s, but if you don't think that Wes made you smirk more during the 20s than someone else on your screen, you're just lying. You're lying, Sarah.
I figured I figured you would take it. Andy.
That's the sound. I think that sound we hear is Wes opening the 2-liter during this era and dumping it on Cara.
Wes sucks. He's just such a little bitch. Always has been, always will be. I know Adam bulges at him, but he's just an ugly redhead who thinks he's smarter than he is. Ever since roided Wes, has there ever really been a threat?
God, I'd say still a threat. Wait, he won a ring during this era when he wasn't roided Wes.
He was still coming down from the roids, but the roids were still there.
I thought he was cancer patient Wes in Rivals 2. He was so skinny.
Yeah, and he got carried by CT.
Oh, come on.
So my take on this pick is I like the pick. Wes was definitely on my short list. I think if you're talking about people from the 20s, he's definitely, one of the guys that sticks out the most. But compared to all of our picks and maybe some other honorable mentions picks, I don't know if anybody that's on that short list has a couple duds the way Wes does, with Battle of the X's and Battle of the Seasons back to back. 2 very early exits. Again, he's still on my short list. It's still an awesome challenger, but 2 seasons that were basically he wasn't there.
Well, listen, Battle the X's Wes, we kind of ignored that season altogether. Backwards Hat Wes might be my least favorite person on the challenge. I think that was actually the first coming down off of roids Wes, because he still had the girth, but he didn't like pack the punch that he normally did. So we kind of just exclude that from the list. And in Battle of the Seasons, I mean, he went up against a semi truck, and I mean, Big Easy was what, 400, 500, 600, 700 pounds? Like, I don't know. So fair point, Alex. I'm going to dismiss those. We object.
Ooh, okay. I think the only person that could have beat Big Easy at the time was probably Anissa in that ball.
What do they say? What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object?
Well, imagine Big Easy versus Anissa in the pig roast elimination.
Right.
Double homicide.
TJ goes to prison.
All right. So, any honorable mentions tonight?
We got it. Let's do season first.
Okay.
Which I don't know if I have any.
I don't have any.
These are my top 4, to be honest.
For sure.
So should we just skip seasons?
Sure.
All right.
Worst challenger?
Wait. Do we need to at least throw Rivals 3 into consideration? That did produce one of the biggest moments in television history.
I think that game for me, like, obviously that moment is incredible, but I feel like Bananas and Sarah just dominated that game so much. It kind of brings it down a little bit.
And even Vince and Jenna were kind of just like 1B, and you always knew who was going to be first and second.
Correct.
Correct.
I'd say Rivals 3 and Cutthroat are very similar. Like they had the one big moment, and then the rest of the season was kind of mid.
Mm-hmm.
But they're good.
Yeah. Where do we want to go next? Moments?
Sure.
All right. Best moments. I think the big ones for me all got picked. I want to bring up one moment, so stupid moment, but we haven't talked about Invasion tonight. And the hand in the cookie jar scene.
Oh, come on.
You love that scene.
TJ walking in. I mean, come on, with the beads. I mean, that is just hilarious. So,
my only other honorable mention for moments, I think my top 3 had all been mentioned, would be Sarah voting in Bananas. Mm-hmm. And that moment itself, I think, was pretty good. It wasn't as notable as some of the others, but I think it was really good. And you get, the domino effect from it, the split decision, everything since then. And in the moment, like it was like a very surprising moment. So I would go Sarah sending Bananas in.
Yeah.
All of mine got taken.
There we go.
Same.
Liam Neeson.
All right. Best challenger. I think there's one girl. I was thinking Cara.
Oh, that was not the girl I was thinking.
4 finals, 1 ring.
I was thinking Sarah.
Oh, I was thinking Paula.
I was thinking Laurel.
I was slip slop.
All right, so let's do a quick 1 by 1.
Cara got 2 rings. I think Laurel and Cara only got 1, right?
Yeah.
Numbers never lie. You remember that shitty ESPN show with Jamel Hill? Wasn't that Numbers Never Lie? That one sucked.
Andy, who did you say?
I said Sarah. I've always kind of bulged at Sarah. Not like actually bulged, but as a competitor.
How many wins? She had 1?
1.
2.
Zero money on one of them, but 2 wins.
$0.
$0.
2 rings? 2 rings is 2 rings in a 10-year span.
Yeah.
I was also thinking for honorable mention, best challenger, you can make a case for Jordan. Did 3 seasons, 2 finals, 1 ring, had the flip the cards moment, which some are saying is the best moment. I think he's up there. A sneaky 2 rings was not on my short list, but is Tyler. He had the first 2 rings of the decade. People forget that.
People do forget that.
Little last name Duckworth. Kind of smirky.
All right,
what's the other category?
Worst challenger.
I thought, Trev, when you were giving your spiel about Jay, I thought you were going Brandon, the guy that left because he had a girlfriend at home.
Yeah.
Because he did 1 season.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference, though, when you stick it out for the entire season and you just give up in the end. I think that's embarrassing.
I think Brandon's worse.
I do too.
So let me go this route.
You're going to kill him on the challenge and you're going to quit at the literally the very first opportunity that you have to quit. Why the fuck are you showing up?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. They also found a replacement. My point is you took away a spot where it could have been Bananas in the finals. Imagine that finals if Bananas is running. Then again, if that happens, then the domino effect would be, take the money and run, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah.
Can I go this route with you on worst challenger? Just about all the bloodlines.
I had one from who did I?
I mean, even Jamie, the one who won it.
Who?
He sucks.
Corey's brother or partner or whatever.
Mitch?
Mitch.
You kind of look like Mitch, Trev. You're like a mixture between Mitch and Devin.
I mean,
that's too far. That's too far.
Do you guys remember from Battle of the X's 2, John Jacobs, the little Dicky lookalike?
Yeah, kind of looks like Little Dicky.
Come on.
My other honorable mention for worst challenger was going to be Tyree. I don't know with an E or without an E, but he did. I mean, Tyree's on the short list of worst challengers ever, and I think he did 3 seasons this stretch and went home first 2 times. He just sucks.
Didn't he say he played football at Oklahoma?
Allegedly.
I mean, that has to be like Oklahoma ... Tech.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you watched All Stars, but Derek from Cancun, who you would argue not the most illustrious challenge career. So first of all, I don't know how he's an All-Star, but I think he was hyping up his state championship or like state record for the hurdles all season long as a high schooler. And I'm like, I don't know that we've ever even seen you break out into a fast jog, let alone like a sprint. So some of these former accolades are dicey at best.
You guys know who his partner was in Rivals 2, right?
Derek and Rob.
He sucked too.
Easy.
Do you remember that elimination? The blindfold one when they were in it and they were swinging the swords and they had to like hit the other person. Classic.
Yeah.
No,
classic.
God. All right. Any other honorable mentions?
Little Johnny beat Bananas at the mountain.
I mean, that's an iconic moment.
No, I think we covered him.
I think an honorable mention moment, and Adam kind of hinted at it. The Rivals 3 reunion show was fucking bananas.
I'm half tempted to go back and rewatch it.
No, should we throw it on right now? Who says
no. What about the Bloodlines reunion show when? Oh, you know what? That wasn't even a reunion. That was like an after show when Abe literally almost murdered Thomas because he hooked up with Cara. He literally was getting restrained by the security people. That was nutty.
Can't be right.
That was nutty.
God.
I think if you look up Abram's name and then go to the news tab, I think like the most recent article from a few years ago was him.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree.
He got in trouble with the dog?
Whoa, wait.
0 dark 30.
God. He couldn't even finish. God. I guess we'll never know the end of that.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
What the Abram news tab says.
So I guess should we just wrap this up then? I mean,
I think we have to.
I think we're just gonna lose
Do
him.
we want to do?
Lost him.
I think I don't.
Oh, hey.
Blow me.
Abram was smearing poop on the walls.
Oh, come on.
Is that what Fenway's doing right now? Is that what you had to go into that?
God. Wrigley, come on.
God.
God. Anything else from tonight's episode? Where would you guys rank this era? I'm just curious. You think 2, Adam?
I'd have to think about it a little bit. I could see it being. I could see there being a strong case for 1. I could see it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate you if you said 1. I think the 20s and the 10s are in their own tier, and then way below that is 1 through 10, and then way below that is the bullshit we've been watching for the past 10 seasons.
Does Fenway have any picks?
Yeah, she says number 1.
Oh, God. Anything else tonight? Anything else?
I think we moved to the elephant in the room since we've already covered Anissa.
Okay. Which is, we're talking season 40 in the cast?
Just opening thoughts, season 40. It was announced little over 24 hours ago. Battle of the Eras, August 14th. We're all in. We're going to give a full preview show at some point. But we figured since we're already planning on recording for tonight, we would just give kind of our gut thoughts on seeing everything from yesterday.
Well, one, we talked 40 people. This preview show could go forever. Alex mentioned 2 parts, and I said, we're not the fucking challenge. We're not going 2 parts. I think we got
Whoa. Is that coming from the same person who, on his Mount Rushmore of things we love about the challenge, said to be continued episodes?
I think that's a great era of 20 through 29 when that was used, essentially. Yeah, it's a good once in a blue moon thing. I'm saying like reunion shows and stuff like that.
That was on your Mount Rushmore of things you love about the challenge.
Never done a part 1, part 2.
Yeah, so why start now?
Because it's once in a blue moon, like you said.
I'm looking out the window and I don't see a blue moon.
STP to be continued. STP TBC.
I'm fine with TBC. The TBC right now is the CT Legends Tour. That's the to be continued. When are we doing that?
We'll get into that.
We got to do US first.
So
I'm fired up for it. I don't know. I think the question got lost in the sauce, but cast list is elite. I love the jerseys. Like it looks like they're kind of meeting in the middle from Carnival games versus just the absurd explosions they've had in the past. I love the color jerseys. I love the teams. I love the concepts. They need to make it succinct though. They need to make it clean and refreshing. And yes, done. Period. To my point.
Well said with the point.
Thanks.
I know we talked about it a little bit last week, and I know we tend to kind of overhype things on this pod, but I don't know if I've ever been this excited for a season. I definitely have not been this excited for a season since we started the podcast. This might be the best cast we've ever had. Might be the best cast we've ever had since we had started the podcast. It's the biggest cast. I'm fired up. It feels epic. It feels epic with everything they're posting. 40 people, the OGs, the whatever the fuck they're calling all the other teams. Like there's 40 people in this cast. There's a million different ways we can go. The full preview show is going to be long as shit because we have 40 people to cover, but it's going to be fun. We're actually going to be excited for this. The past fucking seasons, like we try to get ourselves amped up. I am legitimately amped up for season 40. I am all in.
Trev, are you thinking what I'm thinking? This is clearly coming from someone who didn't watch last season.
I mean,
yeah, but the last season we were dealing with like fake Jessica and Hui number 2 and all those clowns. At least we've got people we recognize.
Yeah, exactly. We're not dealing with these people anymore. There's literally no rookies.
that's the MVP of the season right there. 0 rookies.
Shh, spoilers.
God.
I hope you're right. I want to be all in. I'm just not there.
Wow.
I'm playing table minimum right now.
Well, you're at the table, and that's all that matters.
Damn right.
Like I said to you last week, we're through that shoe. We're on to the next shoe. We just cut the card after tonight. I'm feeling good. So
The only problem is after 39, I had to go back to the ATM because I was completely out.
God.
And you had to get on the phone with the bank. Look, I'm here. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
God. Anything else tonight?
I wish we'd go back to this decade.
Yeah.
Really, really fun era.
Yeah. Was this an era before Ridiculousness? What was on before? It would have been Invasion. Was Ridiculousness on before Invasion?
Probably.
Good question.
Probably.
That would just be ridiculous.
Probably not the beginning of the era.
No. It would have been the tail end. Like, I don't think it was on during Rivals 3 even.
No, that was probably like Teen Mom.
No, it probably was like Teen Mom 2.
Wasn't that one chick? What was that one chick who Corey had a baby with?
Cheyenne.
Yeah. Kevin and Cheyenne. Rivals 3.
Oh, that could have been honorable mention moment. Challenge baby.
God.
I think the first.
That we know of.
God. All right. Let's wrap this up. Thank you, Adam, for joining us tonight. And thank you guys for listening to a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I'm your host, Trevor, and you can follow us on Twitter at Stir the Pod. You can follow us on Instagram at Stir_the_pod. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Shout out Duffy. Bye-bye.